Hey guys, it's quote unquote your boy, Ballface8020, back again with another great response video. Bear with me tonight because, first of all, I'm a little under the weather, although it does seem like it's actually better right now. But I'm also, unfortunately, having kind of a bad depression night. It's nowhere near as bad as it was, but I always have ups and downs, and it seems like, I'm better than I was half an hour ago, but I'm a little depressed, so I might not have as much zap. This video, I'd gotten a comment from a viewer about, saying like, asking if I could review Casey's latest Stoic video. And it was an interesting thing because I remember when I first saw that he had it out, I was like, oh, I gotta check that out when I get a chance. Maybe he'll say something worth responding to. But then I kind of forgot about it, and I was kind of like, you know what? I don't even know if I want to, because I've seen like enough of Casey's shit, and like I know what he's gonna say, and I don't want to end up just repeating myself. But but anyway, but since this viewer asked, I was like, you know what? Whatever, man. Well, maybe I'll do some fan service just to get another video out there, even though my heart's not in it. Because the thing is, like, sometimes there's videos that I don't want to make and that'll be really well received. Like, for instance, I really did not want to make that Oofy Doofy video, but I had a lot of people reach out to me saying that they thought it was the best video I ever did. So, like, I don't think that I need to be, like, totally, like, absolutely, loving everything I produce. Some people might like other stuff. But anyway, so that's how I went into it, thinking of it. And then I watched the video and I was like, you know what? I mean, Casey continues to surprise me. There's actually some stuff in this video that's worth responding to. So now that's the good news. The bad news is this one is going to be very long. I mean, because it's called the 10 Stoic traits that 1%er. I'm sorry, I hadn't seen the advanced Stoicism. Oh man, I'm sorry. That this is why I guess you need to read the stuff clearly before you read it to yourself before you get on camera talk. Advanced Stoicism. Okay. All right. So but anyway, here's the thing. So this is, on the surface, you say it's 13 minutes of Casey spurging about advanced Stoicism. What else is new, right? Well, the thing is, it's that he's doing a top 10 of it, and it's like every single one is like a new fallacy. So it's like not one of those things where you can really just skip over a bunch of shit. I mean, like the whole video is content that needs to be merits response. I mean, let's be honest, it doesn't merit response. Nothing Casey has ever said merits any kind of response. It doesn't need to be, nothing Casey says needs to be refuted because it refutes itself. It would be like refuting Casey's worldview would be like refuting a flat earther. It's just like so apparently not true. No offense to my flat earther. I know I have some flat earther viewers, but nothing personal. But I mean, so for me, like I only really did of Casey more to just make an example to like talk about problems I thought with the red pill philosophy, but and then maybe later on it became more of an obsession about just Casey himself. But anyway, this one though, if it is something you're interested in, and because the fact is there's going to be people who are susceptible to the kind of shit that Casey is putting out. So in that sense, it does merit response, because if there's people who are going to be getting deceived by this and getting hurt by this, then there is actually like reason to call it out beyond just entertainment, even if we all know that entertainment is what we're doing it for. Enough intro. Let's get into the video. Let's get back in the office with Uncle C.
We'll be discussing the top 10 advanced Stoic traits that I have never talked about on this channel.
These are, not all of them, just the top 10. So again, we're going to do the cliches one more time. Top 10. Okay, so we're already on Stoic traits. Okay, 2. That 1%. 3. Alphas. 4. and then Advanced Stoicism 5. So he managed to get 5 Casey cliches packed into just the title. All right, we'll go on.
Now, if you stay with me until the end of this video,
well, we're gonna try. I'm going to assume that most viewers did not. I'm going to hope for their sake that they did not. But we're going to try because you make stuff to respond to the whole way through.
Chances are you are going to be on the roadmap to becoming a full stack 1%er. And if you're a part of Headman Nation, you
full stack. Another thing for those of you who haven't been with me before, if you're confused about full stack, I used to be a web developer. Full stack is a term that comes from web development. When you say full stack, you mean I work on the server, the database, the server, and the client. And that means you're doing the full web stack. That's what it means. Although some people will say, no, it doesn't apply unless you're actually working on the hardware too. It really depends. Like, for instance, on my resume, when I used to program, I wrote down full stack developer or full stack web developer. And it's really kind of just a buzz phrase, because like, how many people are there that only work on the client or only work on the server? It doesn't even make any sense. So but so I'm assuming that what Casey had is he must have picked it up from one of his gurus. I don't know if they started using it because they heard it and they thought it sounded cool, or if Casey just heard it from somewhere else and he just doesn't. Because I'm pretty confident Casey doesn't know what it means. I think Casey has no idea that it comes from web development. Because, he's tried to define full stack before, like what he means by full stack masculinity. It just makes it doesn't even really make sense in web. Well, it's stupid in web development, but at least it makes sense. The way Casey says it's completely meaningless. It's just stupid.
You know that I'm on a direct mission to revitalize masculinity and make men full stack. And by the end of this video, not only will you have the tools, the inside secrets, the tactical plays, and the processes to execute a strategy to being 1%, but you'll now find the stoicism within yourself to hold down the fort and be a person that somebody can rely on, so that way you can not only amplify your own success, but be a pillar of excellence in this world and ultimately be somebody who is very attractive and somebody that men gravitate towards for direction, and women obviously want to be around when it comes to their emotional pull and attraction they have to you as a man. With that said, let's dive in.
Okay, well, I think we're at the first problem right away. Before we go on, I want to make a little disclaimer about Stoicism and Buddhism. Those of you who are familiar with my earlier videos will know that. Okay, actually, back it up a second again. Stoicism, this is a simplification, but Stoicism is essentially a westernized, secularized version of Buddhism. I mean, that's an oversimplification, but that's the basic thing. My background into Stoicism, Buddhism was more into the Buddhist angle. If you look at my earlier videos, you'll see that I often promoted some quasi-Buddhist stuff, even though I didn't buy in fully. And over time, I've gotten away from that. And, what I would do is really, I try not to give advice to people, like especially generalized advice, because everybody's situation is so different. And I think that it's like life is mostly about making your own mistakes and hopefully you learn from them. But if you wanted like just general advice to my viewers, the one thing I would say to them is stay away from Stoicism and Buddhism, because it really fucked me up. My interest in Buddhism, Stoicism, we'll just call it Stoicism. My interest in it came from really a lifetime of struggling with low confidence, and feelings of inferiority. I think there was times when I was younger that I even had some self-hate. I was truly across the lines of self-hate. Certainly by the times I was making videos, and even years before that, I had kind of I was kind of done with that by my late 20s. But there was a little bit of it, at least in the background. But the thing is, even without the self-hate, that was really never as big. Well, that's not true. But generally, it wasn't as much of a problem as, like I said, the lack of confidence, insecurity, and that's basically it. Now, a lot of people struggle with lack of confidence and insecurity, some more than others. Maybe I'm one of the people who struggle with it more than others. So that was my interest in Stoicism, was to get rid of these feelings of inferiority. I mean, more than anything else, it was that. I mean, yes, confidence was a big part. Confidence was always something I had a ton of interest in. And I always was interested in the idea of being more confident. But that's not really what drove me to pursue it. What drove me to pursue it was I wanted to get rid of the feelings of inferiority. And, the weird thing about Stoicism that I discovered after the fact is it's not really methods. It's not really about methods. Like, you can study Buddhism and they'll talk to you about different methods or thought exercises or meditation techniques that can help you to see ultimate reality, see reality for what it is. But that's not what it's about. At the end of the day, those are just techniques. And ultimately, Stoicism is a point of view. And when I say a point of view, I don't mean, if you watch my earlier videos, if you watch my dealing with feelings of inferiority video, it's interesting if I go back and watch it now. You can go back and watch it now. I'll even leave it up, even though I was thinking I should probably delete it. If you watch it now and then watch my videos, watch my current video now, you see like a lot of the stuff, I don't necessarily believe all the stuff I was saying in that video. Like, I don't necessarily believe all that same stuff. But like a lot of the stuff that I was saying in that video was stuff that, and I mentioned this, I think, in the video, that it was stuff I intellectually understood and agreed with. It wasn't cope. I was being honest about what I believed, but in practice, it wasn't how I truly saw things. Like, for example, like let's say you're looking at, like right now, I'm looking at in front of me, I'm looking at a dresser or a table dresser type thing. And now I intellectually know that there is no solid object there. It's 99.9999999% empty space. All it is a bunch of electrons moving around super fast and probabilities. And my eyes are seeing the light and they're interpreting it as this solid object that's not really there. So yes, of course, I intellectually understand that. But at the end of the day, what I'm seeing is that dresser. Do you know what I mean? Like, regardless of what I intellectually understand. So what I'm talking about is the difference between the intellectual understanding and actually seeing it. Like looking at the dresser and no longer seeing the solid object. Seeing instead the electrons, the electrons or whatever, seeing the empty space. Seeing it for what's really there, not just, what your limited eyes perceive. Now, certainly I don't have anything like that. That would be really bad. No, a dresser still looks like a dresser to me. But that was the difference between the video I made back then, what is it, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and how I see things now. Now it's not intellectual. Now I just see it. And if you watch my earlier videos, you will see a guy who is a lot more insecure, who has, you can tell me, you can just tell by watching the video, a lot more insecure, is dealing with more feelings of inferiority, and also a guy who is a lot happier. It really is like that Matrix, taking the red pill or the blue pill. Where most people are out there in the blue pill world of seeing what they think reality is. And then you take the red pill and see ultimate reality. And I thought it was something that I thought was going to set me free. And in a sense it did, to see that, things. So yeah, I cured the insecurity. I cured the feelings of inferiority. But what I never considered is the price that I'd have to pay. What I never considered is that by getting rid of those feelings of inferiority, I also got rid of everything else. Things that I had just taken for granted. And that's, I think, one of the things that made it when I was dealing with depression earlier this year. Obviously, it was mainly just a chemical thing, but that's what made it, so super hard, because I've dealt with depression before, but it was never as bad as that because I wasn't dealing with the existential angst and despair. Um, later, I mean, as time's gone on, I've gotten better about coping at it, partially because I'm able to kind of, get into the delusion more, like, kind of forget about reality sometimes. But anyway, that would be my advice. The thing is, Ned, like Casey, of course, wouldn't understand anything I just said because Casey has no idea what the hell Stoicism is. I mean, he truly just doesn't understand it. But anyway, I think hopefully I didn't lose too many of you guys during that little spurg out. Hopefully I was able to relay, my thoughts about this because it's something that I do think is important. Um, but what were we talking about again? Something about Casey. So anyway, though, that's what I want to say about Stoicism. I would say to stay away from it. But let's get back onto Casey's nonsense.
So, the very first advanced Stoic trait that I've learned over the years that only advanced men that are the true 1% know how to utilize is most will take a short term loss to have a golden 5 to 10 year play. Now, we're going to come to terms with that.
Nothing to do with Stoicism whatsoever. I mean, it just completely, it just shows a complete lack of understanding. The Stoicism, I know some of this might be repetitive for you guys who've seen the last video about Stoicism. Stoicism, truly Stoicism, if you are seeing the world correctly, seeing the world as a Stoic, seeing reality for what it is, will not be about taking the short-term play for the long-term gain, for the simple reason that that long-term quote-unquote gain you will see it for the trivial, meaningless bullshit that it is. To truly be Stoic, so this is the problem, the fundamental problem with what Casey's proposing. Casey is saying, let's use Stoicism to advance these goals we have for ourselves. Fair enough, and I was there once too. The thing that Casey's not considering is that if you do it properly and realize the stuff that you get to that you have those realizations or eureka moments or whatever you want to call it, you start seeing reality properly, you will no longer value those goals and you will give them up. So Stoicism is not the path. It would be self-defeating. So, it would be one thing if Casey was trying to say, learn some tactics that from Stoic philosophers to do it, but that's not what he's saying. And I don't even think that could work. I think with Stoicism, Buddhism, again, we'll stick with Stoicism, you either take it or you leave it. You're either in or you're out. That would be my experience. Anything less than 100, anything less than being all the way in is not Stoicism. And the things that that ability to endure that you get from Stoicism, or the confidence, which is a different kind of confidence than you'd probably expect to get, the confidence that you get, or the loss of feelings of inferiority. Those things that you get, there's no way to just say, okay, well, I'm going to use Stoicism to get these things, but then still value these materialist worldly goals. It's impossible. I know, I know it doesn't sound right because I used to not believe it either. But the only way for it to work would be that if you did do those things, if you cured the feelings of inferiority and stuff like that, you will not be interested in those goals anymore. I'm sorry. It just will not happen. It's impossible for it to be anything else. So I see what Casey's getting at, but Stoicism is simply not going to do it.
Actually, a lot of the direction that I could point this towards. The first that comes to my mind is career. See, the 99% of the masses, 99% of masses and men specifically, will do what is pleasurable, they will do what is comfy, and they do what makes them feel good. Okay? Because of that, oftentimes they will do what is better for them in the short term. But this strategically will deny them of success within the long term.
Yes, this is true. This is absolutely true. And again, I understand what Casey is getting at. And I don't mean to criticize the idea of using these types of self-discipline, self-denial, avoiding these short-term gains for long-term things. I'm not saying that stuff like that can't help you achieve success. It absolutely can. What I am saying is that that is not Stoicism, because Stoicism, you are not giving up that short-term gain in favor of a long-term gain. Stoicism is about giving up the interest in any gain. Okay? Anything else is not Stoicism.
You see, the Stoic man does not get possessed by the shiny object. The Stoic man does not get possessed by the woman in the red dress.
But you are possessed by the shiny object. Your viewers are possessed by the shiny object. It's just that your shiny object isn't necessarily something short-term and material. It's something more abstract. But every bit is meaningless and shallow. And it's a mixture of status and ultimately self-image, status and self-image. So no, you're not focused on that given woman or that car. Okay, fair enough. I was the same way when I was young and driven. And but you are still focused on this self-image thing, this self-image of your purpose or whatever, this on either achievement or others viewing you a certain way or you viewing yourself a certain way. That can be the biggest thing. And you say like, oh, well, it's all for me. It's not about other people. It's about how, I'm viewing myself, my own self-image. That's the worst kind of thing. That's the worst thing that you should be going for. That's the least Stoic thing you should be going for.
If you will. He sees the 5 to 10 year play. Now, what is this 5 to 10 year play? Now, for a lot of you, this 5 to 10 year play could be adapting with the right woman, right? Actually screening the right qualifications of a woman beyond her beauty, beyond how well she performs in bed, and ultimately the qualifications that you would want in a companion. Regardless of how stoic, how non-reactive we all are, chances are if you're a masculine man on your purpose, you're going to want to find a quality companion. Because of that, the right person in your life can have ample benefit in areas you never even imagined. Now, the next piece that comes to my mind is obviously the long-term play within a career, within a business. See, oftentimes, what will happen is the Stoic man will take a short-term loss, whether that be on finances, a missed opportunity, right? He oftentimes will wait out what could be good in the short term to find a 5 to 10 year play that will pay him exponential returns as he increases.
All for it, nothing to do with Stoicism whatsoever.
His value as a man on this earth. A lot of you don't even realize that your best years are ahead of you. Me at 25 years old, it's even hard for me to come to terms with the truth that my best years are going to be in my 30s, in my 40s, and in my 50s.
All right, well, I'm 38, so I can give you some perspective from down the road. Look, I hope that's how it goes. I genuinely do. I'm not like one of those people who tells younger people like, oh, everything down the road is shit. The truth is, what's down the road for you varies so much from person to person. Like, it could very well be the case that your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, maybe beyond are your best years. It's totally possible. It varies so much from individual that you can't just say that stuff. However, in my experience, and I think in most, it's not true. The best years, you know what your best years are? The best years are the years when your best years are ahead of you. And it's a paradox, huh? The part of what made, I look back now and it's definitely obvious. Like what were the best years of my life? And I really the absolute best, the happiest I ever was, and I mentioned this before, was the later part of grade school, 4th and 5th grade. 4th and 5th grade of grade school. Those were the best years. Part of it, part of those years though, part of the magic of those years was two things. One was feeling like it was never going to end because you're young and you have no sense of time. And two was that when it did end, which was actually never going to happen anyway, what was ahead of you was even better. I didn't stop feeling like better stuff was ahead of me until the end of college. Everything else was always like, oh yeah, it's on to middle school, that's better. And after middle school, it's on the high school, that's better. On the high school, after high school, it's all on the college, that's better. By the end of college, I realized, I'm an adult now, and things haven't really changed. Adulthood's hit, and I'm the same guy. The greatness that I had dreamed for myself is clearly not coming into fruition. So, I mean, look, maybe Casey's best years are going to be his 30s, 40s, 50s. I hope that happens, but I wouldn't assume it. I wouldn't assume it. I don't think that's necessarily how it works. I wouldn't be surprised if for a lot, maybe most, in the West, most guys in the West, it's the reverse of that. It's they're, not the best. That these years you got in your 20s are the best. It depends. It really depends.
That's just the truth. And because that's the truth, we have to always keep our eyes on the prize of the long game. The second
Again, Stoicism would say there is no prize to keep your eyes on.
Trait that Stoic men have that is advanced is they will look for one quality woman. Now, am I saying you can't have a rotation? No. Am I saying you can't date in abundance? No. Here's what I can tell you, though. Oftentimes, if you find a quality woman that suits your needs for what it is that you're looking for as a man, this can oftentimes do three things for you. The first is this is easier on your emotions due to the fact that you don't constantly have other women pining for your time and your attention. See, a lot of you like to think that this rotation or this abundance, this roster of women comes very easily. And while it might...
For Chad, it does. I've seen this. For Chad, it does come very easily.
Might come easily to acquire. Oftentimes men think that it's easy to maintain. This is a nightmare.
No. For Chad, it's very easy to maintain. What it requires, though, to maintain it is that you become like almost a sort of psychopath when dealing with these girls, because it's impossible to do it if you respect their feelings. So what these Chads do, and a lot of them are nice guys, nice guys at heart, they just instinctively, they don't even see it's happening. They instinctively come to see these girls as not even really human. Not as in the sense that they would harm them or wish them harm or anything, but that their feelings just don't process to them. Kind of like how women regard their beta orbiters. They will grow to feel so superior and so entitled to that attention that the feelings of the orbiters just don't even occur to them. That's how these Chad types will feel about the girls in their rotation. So now it's obviously not good for you, not good for the girls if you are a Chad and can pull this off. But difficult? No. Or time consuming? No. Emotionally draining? No. I mean, really, it's not. They don't. There's really no emotional investment at all from the Chad's perspective.
What this is a nightmare is this is women getting emotional, calling you late at night, FaceTiming you, dealing with multiple texts.
Chad types do not care at all. It doesn't bother them. Like, yes, would it bother a normal guy who's not used to it? Yes. So eventually you'd be worried, like, oh, am I going to hurt this girl? Is this, like, it's too stressful? The Chad guys who have been used to it, it doesn't bother them at all. They just see the message, ignore it, the same way a girl, like, ignores some thirsty comments on her Instagram. It means just nothing to them.
Messages, and what this actually does is this makes it much harder for you to live in peace. If you're a man and you're truly on your purpose like you say you are, chances are you would not be falling for all of these shiny objects. And the shiny objects is the voluptuous curves, the shiny objects is all of the women that you could be having, the beauty. But what you have to remember is that comes at the expense of your own success.
So, I mean, here's another unstoic thing, and just a plain weird thing. It shows you. So Casey is, and look, I'm not trying to moralize here. I'm talking about just, from your own emotional fulfillment. Seriously, I really seriously don't make a moral judgment of Casey. There's way worse people than Casey. I don't even think Casey's a bad guy. I just think he's a weirdo. The so he's talking about like, stay away from these girls because they're going to distract you from your purpose. He like the thought that these other girls, this harem or whatever, can actually interfere with your relationship, can prevent you from having like deeper bonds with your partner or stuff like that. That just doesn't even occur to him. It's just not how he thinks. And again, that would be very unstoic. Now, stoicism in general would kind of be wary of any type of romantic relationships. It wouldn't necessarily eschew it. Even Buddhism doesn't necessarily eschew it, except for monks. But it would be kind of like, romantic love. I don't know about that. That's an attachment. Everything is kind of meaningless anyway. You're fulfilling, you're solving into the illusion. One of those reasons, I would say stay away from that shit. But certainly wouldn't be something like stay away from it. So, or like focus on your partnership, not to like to have a healthy relationship and make you more fulfilled, but because messing around with other girls will pull you off your purpose. Like it's just weird. It's certainly unstoic.
I have never in my life ever found investment in a woman, S3 actually, that didn't come with a few dates, that didn't come with a few nasty text messages back and forth, and oftentimes it didn't come with me investing hours and hours into her, and her investing those hours into me, only just to build enough comfort to get into the sheets. It does not pay off other than that day, that week, that month.
Yeah. So yeah, it goes back to what I was saying. Like, what a freaking what a weirdo. What a just like unbelievable weirdo. So like, um, the thing is, like, I get what he's saying is on the surface level true. That when you break it down, and this kind of, I guess, is kind of a stoic thing. When you break it down, like, what's all the fuss about? All this effort, jumping through all these hoops for an experience that's probably going to be awkward and maybe even less pleasurable than just using your hand while you're looking at pictures or movies of way more attractive girls than you could be getting in real life with no performance anxiety. So yeah, in something he's breaking it down. He's breaking it down for that. In a sense, he's right. But here's the thing: like, my entire life is just one giant waste of time. I don't make a lot of money. I don't really do anything productive. I mainly just, I go to work and I fart around on the internet, and that's pretty much it. And the thing is, like, so my time is not precious, but I would say my time is infinitely more valuable than Casey's. Like, the nonsense, like the nonsense that I do is worth infinitely more than spurging on YouTube about masculinity to some, naive 18-year-olds. Often who are, socially awkward or even autistic. So like, if there's anybody who shouldn't be talking about, time investment, it's Casey.
You have to understand that when you find a quality woman, right, and you're willing to say no to women who want a piece of your life more often than you say yes, that right there is when you truly become the chooser and not just the one waiting to be chosen. Which leads me to my third point. The Stoic man is alpha by his own definition. See, if somebody has to tell you what alpha is, you have now defeated the purpose.
Okay, we're getting somewhere there. So if you have to talk about being an alpha, you're not an alpha, and you never will be. It's over. If you have to mention it or think about it, you are not an alpha. Here's the bottom line with the alpha stuff. Alpha is not a moral designation, which is often how it's thought about, even though people don't say it that way. They don't say things like betas are immoral or alphas are moral. That's not what I mean. What I'm talking about is alpha is seen as a character or personality virtue. So somebody is alpha by as the result of their personality, and that is admirable, or again, it's a virtue. It's virtuous. It's good. And it's also that view is incorrect. Okay, it's not immoral. It's wrong, factually wrong. What makes an alpha male, so to speak, is a combination of social status, um, uh, physiognomy, like that's like the way your face is structured, your height, your frame, stuff like that. Physiognomy, physiognomy. I don't know how you say it. You also just say phenotype. Nah, phenotype wouldn't make sense either. It would be physiognomy. Your voice. Um, that would be and then finally and I don't know if I want to say most importantly, but very importantly, your neurology. Your neurology, which is a mixture. And yes, it's somewhat malleable. It's not 100% fixed, but it's mostly the result of a product of your genetics and your environment. That's gonna determine over 90% of your neurological wiring. And again, you can change it a little bit on the surface. There's things you can do. There's tactics you can do, stuff like that, but not to the point where it's going to change, a character like one of Woody Allen's movie characters into Denzel Washington type dominance. I mean, mostly what we're talking about, again, it's not a virtue or a moral thing. It's simply those three things I mentioned: social status, physiognomy, and neurology. And there's really very little you can do to change all those things. In the case of physiognomy, there's almost nothing you can do, depending on what we're talking about. I mean, I guess you could take HGH, get leg lengthening surgery, plastic surgery on your face, stuff like that. But that's all alpha is. So I mean, it's to focus on it or is just like, do you know what trying to be alpha is like? I'm being serious here. Trying to be alpha, saying something like I'm going to try to behave in a more alpha fashion, that's like saying I'm going to try to be taller. Like that's how nonsensical it is. It is what it is. It's not something you can do or achieve.
The purpose of an alpha male is to set your own rules, set your own expectations, set your own boundaries, and set your own guidelines. Most simply can't do that.
Yeah, also, I don't really appreciate being lectured about being an alpha male by like one of the most beta people that I've ever come across in my life.
So most men, despite them thinking that they're 1%ers, these are actually 99%ers.
Like, let me get. I'm sorry. I'm going to Casey. You are the only person I've ever seen in my life who makes me feel alpha. That's how unalpha you are. So you're just not the person to be lecturing people on this.
Pillsbury Doughboys, once again following the next girl.
Also, and look, he's a good-looking guy, but does anybody see the irony of somebody who literally looks like the Pillsbury Doughboy using Pillsbury Doughboy as a pejorative?
Following the next influencer, specifically telling him that the bigger his roster, the more women he sleeps with, this defines his value. This is nothing but bullshit. This does not propel you in any way, shape, or form to the next caliber in life. Oftentimes you stifle your own skills and your success, and you're high on your own supply with your ego, thinking that you're higher value than you actually are, all because you can slide in between some cheeks. If you ask me, that's about a crock of shit. Which leads me to my fourth.
All right, good. I mean, I'm with you. I'm with you, Case. I just don't think it has anything to do with stoicism. I mean, you kind of had something there, but I know you're going with it in an unstoic direction.
Point. You see, the stoic man could be going through hell, and you won't even know it. On my last video, I saw a comment that somebody said, Casey, this is the first time I've seen you show any weakness or any insecurity when you talked about the ups and down peaks and valleys of your own mission, your own journey, and your own progress. Are you insane? You think that I don't have fear? You think that I'm not scared to fail? You think that...
No, I think you do, and I think it's readily apparent in pretty much all of your videos. I mean, you really exude insecurity. In fact, I would say that you are Exhibit A. And you know, I can say this stuff because I know Casey's never going to watch it, and if he did, he wouldn't get it. But so I'm not trying to be mean, but like, let's say like I was trying to scare somebody away from like adopting the Casey Zander lifestyle. The first thing I would do is have them just watch a Casey Zander video. I think you do more to make this lifestyle look bad than a million of my videos ever could.
That it's easy for me to do this. It's easy to build Headman. It's easy to expand the products. It's easy to change the way men think.
No, and again, this is where I'm gonna have to, give some credit where credit's due. Again, I know I've said it before, but I really do respect the work, and I know I don't think it's easy. Get up here every day. You're not only putting yourself out there, but getting up and doing it every day like this. I mean, it's a lot of work. You can tell he's committed, and it's really now that is a virtue, that drive. Um, and I really admire it. I genuinely do. And I think what he's done is, I mean, it's unfortunate that he's all done it in the service of selling snake oil, but in terms of the work and some of the results, I really do admire and respect it.
This is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. What keeps me going is that I can weather the storm, and the storm is hell. You see, the stoic man could be going through hell and you won't even know it. You won't even know it because as you're sitting in your own hell, as you're sitting in your own turmoil, as you're wallowing in your sorrows, he is finding a way out. And his way out oftentimes may only take a week, it may only take a month, or it may only take a year. So if you're telling me a 1 year of work getting out of hell.
Well, I think about no, I think you're just wrong. I think you're just wrong. I would like to cite the example of and I know that these guys would not have considered themselves stoic by any stretch, but it would be it would be a similar type thing. Guys who were rabbis during World War II, who were trapped in ghettos in Poland. So they knew that 1942, 1943, they knew that not just that they were dead, no matter what, but that their wife was dead, their parents were dead, their kids were going to die right in front of them, and their flocks were all going to die in front of them. They all knew this and stuff. They weren't thinking about how to get out of this. They knew there was no way out. There was that trip to Auschwitz or Sobibor or Treblinka, that was going to be one way. They knew this months, sometimes years in advance. So these guys, and I think that's where you see you could say, because even a Stoic, I mean, obviously the worldview is very different, but a Stoic would be the same thing. If you had that guy Epicurus or Marcus Aurelius or whatever, if they were in that situation, it'd be the same way. It's kind of like an understanding that there is no way out. There is no way out. You're fucked, and that's that. And dealing with the being fucked, not trying to unfuck yourselves, which is clearly how Casey's looking at it. Casey's looking at it to stay calm, stay strong, to keep a level head and facilitate you getting out of this bad situation. Well, again, good. I like it. It's not Stoicism. Stoicism is more of an outcome independence, a resignation to the fact that things aren't always going to go your way. And being able to accept it and deal with it and not even be upset about it. Or, I think that that's probably not realistic. And I would also say it's probably not even healthy to get to the point where you're not upset about it, but to at least be able to handle it, without going insane or breaking completely.
Can pay exponential returns for the 5 to 10 year play. If you can't do that and I can, that means I will drastically outperform you just through sheer grit alone. This is because I am not reactive. The Stoic man can never be reactive. Number 5. S3X becomes child's play and a crutch. If you're following any influencers that are telling you that they're tough or they're a bad boy based on how much money they make and how many Instagram models they're pulling, you're once again full of shit. Think about this. S3X will become child's play and a crutch. Why is it a crutch? Because if men pursue what is pleasurable, oftentimes men's pleasures become their own Achilles heel. So the men that you probably look up to, their Achilles heel is oftentimes women. It's how many women they can sleep with. It's how their persona in the club appears. And it's basically how they can look on the exterior so that way they can get someone else's validation or that woman's approval on the interior.
Well, I'm with you, but I just don't see any difference between guys like that and you yourself, Casey. I mean, again, you're all of the difference is that your shallow superficiality manifests itself in my opinion, a more cringy way, but it's certainly a different way. But it's the same lack of substance with those club fuckboys and you yourself.
To me, that is the weakest thing I've ever heard. You see, when this becomes your crutch, that is now leverage against you. And when it's leverage against you, you're now focused on the performance of that and not necessarily the experience that could be shared when a woman actually complements your life the correct way. A stoic man, despite his pleasures feeling good, you see, a stoic man will not make the mistake of falling into this crutch. The sixth point I want to make that is an advanced stoicism trait is the stoic man will always consider legacy.
No, it will not. A stoic would completely dismiss any relevance of legacy. This is I'm like I can't even say I'm shocked because I'm not, because but I do have to question is, has Casey ever actually read anything about stoicism, like beyond just like some random quotes? Like, has he ever like read any books? Now, on one hand, I know that Casey, let's be honest here, he's not very smart. So there's a very good chance that if he did read a Stoic book or even a Stoic article, he just wouldn't understand it. But no, that legacy would be, I mean, this is really basic stuff. Legacy would be seen as completely irrelevant, maybe even worse than irrelevant, maybe a harmful distraction to a Stoic.
You see, legacy in your name is the only thing that you have. Your reputation and your name is the only thing that you have. And how people view you.
Your reputation and your name are considered as irrelevant in Stoicism. It's like maybe, I don't know if it's the core point or one of them. This is such an incredible, out of this world misunderstanding of what Stoicism is.
The impact that you have on the world is oftentimes what you'll live by. And if you don't consider your own legacy, you're playing too small of a game. The 5 to 10 year play is not only going to reap the rewards for you financially.
I'll take my non-legacy over your legacy of selling, neo-masculinity to Zoomers.
But it's going to ultimately reap how people view you and how you view yourself.
I thought we didn't care about how people viewed us. We were stoic, right?
And you will only know when you're on your purpose if you have impact in the world and if that impact is positive. The amount of people that you see who make tons of money and have tons of success, the reason why they are still not fulfilled is because they know that their they know that their legacy was nothing more than a play to satisfy their ego and the pleasures of the world that they think that they could get. I do not want that to be you. The seventh Stoic trait that is so advanced, I need you to even look at life differently, is that wealth accumulation is used as an internal strategy for comfort, not of an external validation of the world. The amount of men that you see building businesses or slaving away or investing in the next crypto fund to buy Louis Vuitton, buy their girlfriend Louis Vuitton, drive a new Bentley, or oftentimes try to look like they're hot shit. These are the most insecure, weakest men you will ever find. The high-value man doesn't care.
You mean outside of a, neo-masculinity meetup? What's this thing called again? It's called, fuck, I can't remember what his program's called. What's it called? It's called the MBT, an MBT meetup. MBT, masculine behavioral therapy meetup, yeah.
Care. The high-value man builds his wealth accumulation for the internal. It's like he has ammunition in a fort.
Look, not necessarily bad advice, maybe good advice. I like it. I like what you're saying. Not stoicism. It may be even in the opposite. Now, certainly, putting in a lot of work to earn money to buy fancy shit and impress people or buy shit for your girl, that's not very stoic, I agree. But it might be actually more stoic than making money for the sense of like having additional security. If you need that security, you're not stoic. Stoicism would mean accepting that there is no security. You'll never be safe. There's always going to be danger out there. There's nothing, you don't have control. The only certainty is that you're going to die someday. The long. I mean, if you're the long run, it's what's ahead of you is old age, sickness, death. If you're lucky. I mean, the death part you're going to get no matter what, but you might not get the old age part. And the so so stoicism would be about seeing that there is no security and stop trying to grasp it. That's where the anxiety is going to come from, is trying to grasp this unobtainable security.
So that way, if shit hits the fan, you got a big fort behind you. And the big fort can do a lot. But this only comes when you are on your purpose. And this only comes when you're able to play the long game. And this only comes when you're willing to go through hell for just a little while. To hopefully, if you're lucky, reap the rewards of the 5 to 10 year play that you're betting on. So what does this mean? This means that the high value man, the stoic man, will constantly, point number 8, focus on skills and not what he can do hourly. The hourly man will focus on what he gets in return this week, this month, or this business quarter.
Okay, look, again, maybe good advice, okay? I don't really know much about this stuff, but maybe good advice. Nothing to do with stoicism.
The man invested in skills can weather any storm, can weather any financial hardship.
All right, Casey, come on, wrap it up here, buddy.
And can be of value in almost every single industry due to the experience that he brings. So my 9th point, for those of you that struggle with finding talent in your business, for those of you that struggle finding quality women, for those of you that struggle attracting quality women, do you know what happens when you have this advanced stoic trait that I'm speaking to with being less reactive? The 9th is that talent finds you. Attractive women find you. 1%er women find you. When you walk, talk, and act a certain way, this breeds attraction.
No. And I can cite my own self as an example of this. When I was the most success I had with women was unquestionably when I was in college. And again, you think about college was the time of my life where it wasn't just insecurity and feelings of inferiority. It was often very intense feelings of self-hatred. In addition to that, I was painfully skinny. It was, like I said, I think in college I was 5'9". I think I'm around 5'9". I may be a little shorter than that, but I weighed in college under 125 due to the medications I was on. We're trying to go down to around like 122 or something, sometimes even less than that. I had horrible posture. Not that I have great posture now, but it was really bad then. Much more success with women than today. And when I say success with women, no, granted, I didn't have women throwing themselves at me or anything, but I got indicators of interest and was able to have, success. Today, much more confident guy. Much better posture, physically filled out, a bit. No interest from women whatsoever. Because that it's a black pill thing. So what's the difference? Well, I'm older, and I don't look as good. And you can say like, well, you didn't look good in the first place. Like, well, yeah, I know what you're saying, but the fact is that when you take my looks, I have a look personality combo that when I was young was appealing to a certain type of girl. Okay, now now I don't really have that personality anymore. I have a little bit of it, but not the same as it was when I was a kid. I think that my personality was actually more attractive when I was more insecure. And I don't look as good. I'm older. I'm Norwooding, and and like I said, I'm not trying to beat myself up. I'm not putting myself down. I'm not saying that if you don't look good, it's over or shit like that. It's not about that, but it's about that these things like are improving your confidence insofar is that going to make you more appealing to women? No. Is any type of stoicism going to make you more appealing to women? Well, if you want to think about how ridiculous that is, go to a monastery and look at some Buddhist monks. Those are the most stoic people you will ever meet. Are women throwing themselves at them? Come on now. I mean, I think most women would rather go for Taylor the Fiend than a typical Buddhist monk.
Traction, what do we know about it through every content creator you've ever watched? I'm not dumb, and I know that I'm not the only one that you watch.
Well, I'm kind of going to have to dispute that you're not dumb. I mean, I don't know what your IQ is, but sometimes I think it might be under 100. And you may be dumb in a way that like IQ doesn't even measure. I mean, you just don't come off as very intelligent to me. Sorry, I know that seems kind of nasty, but I mean, it's true. I mean, I haven't figured it out, and I don't know. I don't know. I don't really get Casey sometimes.
You go where your bread can be buttered. And chances are, I hope your bread is buttered just a little bit better on this channel than it is in other places. Talent finds them. When you are of talent, the right type of people come into your life. You're no longer in shortage, you're no longer in scarcity. You actually are sitting back, letting the fruits of your labor work for you because it breeds the right type of atmosphere, and this does include women, dating, and friends. And 10th, nothing scares them. Nothing. The Stoic man will look at obstacles in life and he will say, if that person can do it, so can I.
No, he wouldn't. That's incorrect. A Stoic would see reality for what it is and see that, like for instance, I see, like Shaquille O'Neal, he's able to not just be successful in professional basketball, but be successful in a very unique way. Like, as kind of a, ultra physically dominant center type player. So they're even other guys who are good basketball or great basketball players can't play the game the way Shaq can. Or couldn't play the way the game Shaq could. And, a Stoic, also, in this it's just common sense, would see that that's just, gifts that Shaq has. And this would be the same thing for somebody who maybe won a Nobel Prize or became a great surgeon, or became a strong political leader or an entrepreneur. And it's not about being some type of genetic determinist, but it would be somebody who would just know that it's not just the power of the mind. Reality is out there. It's not just some kind of Hitlerian triumph of will overall. There's reality exists, and it needs to be dealt with as it is, not as we want it to be, or not as the way we can't will reality away. That would be Stoicism. The idea of that's what Casey's getting at here, is using will to sort of overcome reality. Well, there is no overcoming reality, and any Stoic would recognize that. So again, just a complete misunderstanding of what Stoicism is about. So Casey has obviously learned nothing whatsoever. I mean, he's literally learned nothing about Stoicism. It's actually impressive. I'm being serious. Like, this is a guy who's made multiple videos about it. I'm sure he's had people talk to him about it. I'm sure he's at least read something about it, and he's literally learned nothing. It's amazing. I am genuinely impressed. I think he said something else there very briefly that I wanted to respond to. What was he babbling about again? Maybe we'll check that out really quick.
And this does include women, dating, and friends. And 10th, nothing scares them. Nothing.
Oh, yeah, okay, and that's an interesting thing. First of all, he's wrong. He's wrong. Second of all, Casey, you just said that you dealt with fear all the time. Third of all, you just mentioned what you talked about after, about like, if he can do it, I can do it too. What the hell does that have to do with fear? However, I would like to say something that I've noticed with my what you call my more Stoic worldview. And, I know I said to avoid it, but I did get some good things out of it, including the way I look at fear and even perceive it. Now, the truth is, when it comes to the actual sensation of fear or nervousness or jitteriness, especially if you see me in person, I not always, but I can often be, especially around people that I'm not comfortable with, I can be very jittery, come off as very jittery and very nervous. Even this is even the Stoic me. You probably wouldn't think that I was very Stoic at all. But that's just a outward manifestation of the chemical reactions that are creating anxiety. So the fear is still there. The fear hasn't changed at all. What's changed, what has changed is not the fear and anxiety. That hasn't improved. What's changed is the way I look at the fear and anxiety. Instead of looking at it as something that needs to be gotten rid of, which is how people instinctively do it. You get pain or anxiety, any unpleasant feeling, you instinctively try to get rid of it. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's just human nature. Instead of looking at it like that, I kind of just see it as a sensation, like it's just another sensation, and an unpleasant one, sure. And an unpleasant one, and it still has the same effects. I still come off, because I have a tremor anyway. So if I get nervous, it starts to really tremor. I'll start talking a little faster, a little higher. All the same manifestos are there. But on the inside, there's kind of like a deep inside sort of inner calmness where I'm sort of observing it and seeing like, this is the sensations I'm feeling. These are the outward effects that are manifesting from it. And it is what it is. And, I'm stressed, but I'm not going to get stressed about being stressed. Hopefully that made sense. So, for me, like the whole stoicism thing or whatever, like I said, I'm like the guy in the Matrix thing, why, oh, why did I take the red pill? But, there has been, there's been benefits of it. And I think that's one of them. But anyway, obviously, again, Casey, this is not something I would expect Casey to understand, because obviously Casey is incapable of understanding anything about Stoicism. Very sorry about the length. That's all for now, and I will see you guys in the next.